Good afternoon, everyone. Hope things are well. Hope you are doing well, and I hope you are looking forward to the return of Newcastle this weekend down at Southampton. We desperately need to change things around, and it's not just changing things around on the pitch, off the pitch. Not only I feel like Newcastle needs to be ruthless in terms of potentially letting some players go, but they also need to invest in this window. I really feel like Newcastle need to invest in this window in order for us to have the best possible second half of this season. But first off, from me, if you are new around here and you enjoy the content, make sure to get down there, hit that subscribe button. We will be at Southampton at the weekend, so of course, away day vlog will be there after the match. Smash the like button if you enjoyed this video. And finally, something a bit new in these transfer news videos, but question of the day. I want to hear your guys' involvement in the comments section. I'm going to give a random question about Newcastle every single time we do one of these videos. I'm going to see what people think. But as for this question of the day, is Lewis Hall Newcastle United's best local lad since Alan Shearer? So just any local lad from Newcastle that has done well for this football club. Is Lewis Hall our best since Alan Shearer? I reckon he is. I'm trying to think of our players that are really at that level, and I can't think of any off the top of my head. So I'm intrigued to see if any of you disagree with that. But let's briefly recap first before we talk about the big one with Jonathan David. But let's start off with the outgoings. Of course, we know Almiron, he is going this week. He is expected not to be at the club anymore for the Southampton game. So hopefully it'll get done as soon as possible, and then we can potentially look at replacing him. But again, I'm not fully convinced Newcastle will replace him, which is I would argue, probably the concerning part, especially with Murphy's the only option out wide. Now, Lloyd Kelly, there's been a bit of an update since my last video on him, actually. So, originally, Juventus, we're going to say, came in with a €13 million bid for Lloyd Kelly. Newcastle, no, we want in the region of 25 to 30 million pounds. So that's going to be 30 plus million in euros. So Newcastle basically want, I mean, you're talking potentially double what Juventus has actually offered for him. And now it's still believed that Juventus is coming back in. So they must be keen on Lloyd Kelly. They've seen someone like Kelly that liked at Bournemouth or liked at Newcastle, and they want this player in. And I know when you're thinking about Juventus, Lloyd Kelly, why would that ever happen? But you got to remember, Juventus have dropped off quite a bit, and they haven't just dropped off quite a bit, but Lloyd Kelly still has value. I still think he's a decent player. I said it in my last video, hasn't worked out in Newcastle so far. There's still value there to be had, and I said it before. I think Newcastle need to be ruthless, because this is a player who had for half a season. He's barely played for Newcastle. Probably a bit harsh for him on a personal level. He's just trying to get into the team, but the reality is, that's a free signing. We could potentially, I mean, make it. You're talking 20 to 25 million pounds. That's a serious profit on what is going to be a fourth, fifth choice centre half. You got to remember, Lascelles is almost back. Botman is back. Emerald Craft, I think, is still out, but again, he is a centre half. So Newcastle have these options here, and I think in terms of centre half options, we could ride the storm out. I don't think we necessarily need Lloyd Kelly. I think we can be fine without him. So a ruthless call for me, but if we're getting, you're talking 25 to 30 million pounds, I would say yes to that. I really feel like it's a move Newcastle should go and make. But again, I've seen up and down opinions about that. Some of you guys disagree with that. That's completely fine. But in terms of me as well, now, one thing I mentioned actually is, in terms of income and signings, Newcastle again will always sell before the buy in this window, and it's still an if whether we would actually buy in this window. But Jonathan David, that is an option that is available in the summer. It is a player that, according to Lee Ryder from the Chronicle, we'll talk about him shortly because he had a bit of a mess for the article, but he has stated that Newcastle United has sent scouts to actually watch him play. So we are physically actually sending scouts out there to keep an eye on Jonathan David, and he's a player that he has always been linked to Newcastle, to be honest. There's been a few windows now where there hasn't ever been any real concrete evidence to suggest Newcastle would bring him in, but he's always been linked to this football club. He's always been someone that's kind of been on our radar. He's been someone that's been on people's wish list. But according to Lee Ryder, he has actually said that Newcastle had sent scouts to go and watch the player play. but he somehow spent Newcastle wrong in the article. So yeah, he then deleted the article because I think he had a few spelling mistakes in there. But in terms of Jonathan David, though, I mean, honestly, top quality player. He is very good. He's also someone that I think is realistic. I think he is a realistic sign for Newcastle to make in the summertime. I think he's someone that Newcastle definitely would be interested in. Again, I'm not entirely sure how he would work with the club. I'm assuming Wilson would go and then David would come in as that second choice option, I would imagine. But again, from the stats he's had when he's playing in French league football, he's a player I'm keen on. I like him a lot. I think it's a realistic sign for Newcastle, and it's someone where finally we can actually just say in this video and in this window, Newcastle is showing at least some intent of potentially bringing a player in. But that's been my issue with the window now, because now I don't want to kind of pinpoint this in Eddie Howe, Paul Mitchell, or the board, or whoever it may be, because again, we don't know the circumstances in the background. We'll talk a little bit about the FFP and the PSR issues in a moment, because I think there's a much bigger picture to this. But I remember, especially with Paul Mitchell at that stack meeting, he came out, he was vocal, he was saying that, you know, I joined the club during the summer window. It wasn't a real opportunity to show fair reflection on me. It was a frustrating window. And this is his first window since that kind of shows what he can do. He has the full window now. He's had time before the window to prepare. And again, this window, you look at the teams around us, like we just don't show that intent, and I wonder why, because there is at least some money there. We already know from the Mark Gay situation, but I think there is a bigger picture to this. I think there is. Now, surely Newcastle has some huge long game that they're going for. There's definitely something in the pipelines ahead of time that Newcastle are planning now. Now, the PAF, obviously massive in terms of being the ownerships of this club. The board, obviously massive. Again, Newcastle have very, very technically talented people at the top, intelligent people. They know what they're doing. And in the transfer windows, it doesn't translate. So they must be planning something big in the summer. They've got to have one eye in the summer, and they've got to be really knowing exactly what they're going to do. They've got to go. I mean, you're talking 3 transfer windows without a major sign. Lloyd Kelly's our biggest sign in the last 3 transfer windows, which is just, I mean, madness. It is madness when you think about it. But again, Newcastle on the pitch have done well. They have done quite well, and they've been able this season, despite the limitations of these windows, they've been able to really stand toe to toe with the top teams in this country, which is also frustrating, because imagine if Newcastle was able to invest and put all that money in them, this club would be absolutely miles ahead of where they are now. But if Newcastle is to potentially win something this season, if we are to potentially get back to Champions League football, I feel like we need to invest in this window. And if Newcastle don't invest in this window, it would probably also give me some of an implication that the club wouldn't necessarily mind being in either the Conference League or the Europa League. And obviously, if we're on a cup final, again, just being there, I feel like the club might be happy with. But I feel like we've got to set ourselves a bit higher in that now, because Newcastle, we are the 9th most spent football club in the world. We have the 9th most expensive squad in world football. We are the 7th most expensive squad in the Premier League. And again, when you look at where Newcastle are on the table, we are slightly ahead of that statistic. But again, with the players we've got some unbelievable players, and Newcastle, I feel like, need to really be getting back to Champions League football this season. Potentially, you're talking 5 spots if it opens up, which is likely to open up as well. And if you ask me now, can Newcastle get top 5 football? Yes, I think we can. I think we honestly can. So, again, we just need to do our job. But in terms of this window, it's vital that we bring somebody in. Even a loan sign. We have a loan market available. Just loan someone. We can do that. There is a loan option available. We can quite literally just do that if we wish. But I wouldn't mind so much in this window, though, if we are able to potentially clear the books a little bit. Because again, if Newcastle doesn't buy in this window, let's say like Kelly saw, Miggy saw, and then potentially maybe a third player in there somewhere. And again, Newcastle's cleared out quite well, and it would prevent us in the summer from being desperate again, having to sell a player like Elliot Anderson or a player like Yankuba Minteh. So it's important for us to kind of set the record straight a little bit. But again, we need to invest when we can, because you're talking 3 windows without a sign. Like that's just ludicrous. So I don't know what we're waiting for. but we need to pull that trigger at some point. We need to just get this deal done at some point, whether it be this window or a summer window. But in terms of now, though, Newcastle just need to kind of focus on Southampton, I guess, and obviously behind the scenes, we need to just do what we can. But until something happens again, you guys already know we're going to make videos on it and we're going to talk into it. But Jonathan David, would you take him at Newcastle United? I personally would. I'm intrigued to see what you guys think about that one. I thought that was an interesting one to talk about. But other than that, again, it's just the outgoings at the minute, which is not what you probably want to hear or see about, but it is what it is, guys. We'll be back with more news once it comes out. But appreciate you watching anyway. Take care. Let me know your opinions down below. Wish you all the best, and we will see you all in the next one.